Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Guillermo del Toro's The Cabinet of Curiosities, Episode 8, The Murmuring. Now, this episode was directed and written by Jennifer Kent, who did Babadook, and ironically, Essie Davis is a star of this episode who was also in Babadook. And this was based off a short story by Guillermo del Toro himself. Now, it was also very exciting to see Andrew Lincoln in something that is not The Walking Dead. I've been waiting for that. I'm just wondering, where has this man been? So it's cool to see him do something different here and play the character of Edgar. Now, this episode to me is clearly a case of saving the best for last. I mean, this episode was just at a different level than this whole show. It felt also very Haunting of Hill House to me, where it's just horror at its peak, at its best, and really hitting you emotionally with a good message, and everything being suspenseful here, intense, and caring about your two main characters. Now, what I thought was so effective about this episode was that they planted the seed right from the start of something tragic happened. That is in the conversation with this man talking to Edgar, and he is saying, I'm so sorry about what happened. And also laying the groundwork that it wasn't malpractice about this baby dying for these parents. They didn't do something wrong. That's so important because he also says, what a cruel God. Now, this really goes into the where I think they angle this story and what goes on later on, and which we're going to get to about the grief and sorrow and guilt that in particular Nancy is dealing with, because this story is told through Nancy's point of view. And Nancy wants to be like birds and how free they are. And how that works so well with this episode is that Nancy wants to be free from her guilt and her grief about what happened to their baby, Ava. And I feel like this falcon that's going after these birds and that they flock now and they're in myrmitations, that the falcon that's the predator is grief chasing after Nancy. And what really worked well for me was that you get the big payoff scene at the end, what it leads to, and that Nancy finally becomes free like a bird when she has all the birds around her and she's in her own flock, her own murmuring. I thought that was so powerful. And what she is she's free from her grief at the end there, because she's able to say at the end, I want to talk about Ava, which gave me chills. Now, how this went about was that she is going through her grief and we're feeling that horror and pain she's feeling in this old house, and she's learning how to deal with her grief through this ghost that we see in this story that happened, where it was a mom and son who lived there, and we learn that the son drowned, but not only drowned, he was drowned by the mom. So it's this tragedy that happened, but what's so important about that is that when she finally confronts her grief by actually confronting the little boy here who feels like he did something wrong in that story and what happened in the past in this old house, that she says, no, you did nothing wrong. It's your mom who did something wrong. And what was so interesting to me was this was, for me, Nancy talking to herself, that this was her working through her grief and her guilt, and that what happened to her was awful, losing her daughter, but she didn't do anything wrong in that. She had to deal with that. And when she's saying that it was her mom who did something wrong, I did take it as leading to what that man said to Edgar earlier in the episode about, a cruel God, that whatever you want to paint it as, that the mom here in this story with Nancy's looking at the mom as like, whatever, the universe, God, that is what did something wrong to her baby Ava. It wasn't anything she caused. So this was her working through that guilt, working through that natural grief, guilt a mother would feel in a situation like this more than the husband, and that she had felt healed now dealing with that and realizing it's okay, it wasn't her fault what happened to her baby, and then again leading to her having these birds around her. And I was so happy she didn't jump like the original mom did. I was nervous they were kind of setting that up when the mom was going to kill herself and jump from the past and the ghost. It was scary, but thank God they went with the more beautiful, happy, and healing route, and that we see her heal through this all episode. It's just so powerful to me. And shout out to Andrew Lincoln too. Just a great scene when he's letting out his grievances, how they won't talk about Ava and that she won't let him in. She's so in mourning, and that there is no even conversation that needs to be had between the two of them. And he just did a great job there. But obviously, Essie Davis steals the show here. I mean, what a brilliant performance. I was so just blown away by this, and it's still like hitting me, that episode. And there was so much visually going on here that was beautiful. All the shots with the birds, clearly, and totally serving the story too, where you see the flock of birds go away as Nancy is dealing with her grief, but also losing interest in her career, being obsessed with this story of misery. And like the man alludes to, like, we are also just so interested in other people's misery, and people see what they want to see. But through that suffering of someone else, she also healed in her own suffering. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of themes going on there, but I thought it just landed perfectly. And I thought that the tub sequence was particularly terrifying when she sees from a distance this woman that was in the house before her, that she also felt for too, because that woman at a time looked at birds as wanting to be free as well and having freedom on that embroidery. I thought that was really powerful. So it was the difference between her and that woman, though, that she, again, in her case, didn't actually cause her baby's death, and she had put that on herself and has healed through that. This one just hit it out of the park for me. Just amazing acting, directing. The cinematography here was top notch. The music was great. The suspense was great. Just enough horror and just enough building of mystery of wanting to know what is really going on while you're watching it, what's happening. So, best one of the bunch. I'm giving this one a 9.8. One of the best things I've watched on TV all year, and will definitely be something I remember and stick with me. And having those moments where the birds are around her, like, that's like, okay, I'll remember that forever. That was just awesome. So, definitely like Mike Flanagan feels here, and Haunting of Hill House level good. So, definitely my favorite. I'm so excited. Horror's been so good this year, and this is one of those things that's top of the crop for me. So let me know what you guys thought of this episode down below. Let me know your rankings also of all the episodes. I'd love to see that, and if this was your favorite like it was mine. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews. I'm going to have Wednesday reviews coming out next for Netflix. Also going to be doing the next show by the creator of Dark, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time.